Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Show and Tell. These are two pieces by Genie Siegel that were sent to me. Thanks you so much, Genie. I was going to send her a thank you email for these pieces. These are originals, but I thought I would do a video, an actual video, because she posts her pieces on Facebook, and we can all see them there. But she doesn't post videos. Now, I don't know if I could show more in this video than what you can see in one of her, really good photographs posted. But these pieces have they have more dimension to them, okay, than what sometimes you can see in a still photo, okay? So one of the thing about her pieces is that she uses a lot of things like, I think it's Dr. Martin's as far as the paints go, but like I'm touching right down here in this wavy kind of, real kind of turbulent sea area. And in these lighter areas, there's actual like raised highlights, I guess, and built up areas within these waves, giving it that kind of that undulation, or I don't know, is that a word? Those turbulent types of raised areas that are bringing drama into that specific area or objects, okay? So what she's doing here is sometimes what I talked about, or I talk about in media surface combinations. Okay, now sometimes the thing that we do in order to work on something in a sequential way is we work from thin to thick. Okay, now that's a way that they do it in many forms of things like oil painting or painting in general. Okay, so oil painting, you would do these washes in the background and you'd work from, I don't know, lighter to darker or something like that. But then it would be washy types of applications. But then you would get into what they call like impasto, like raised kind of areas of paint in order to build up things. Usually it's things like highlights or kind of lighter areas, opacity over transparency. Okay, now that's kind of what's going on here because these are a lot of dye-based inks on here. And then she's moving into, I don't know, we'll have to ask Jeannie about this, but there seems to be, it might be paint, I think it's acrylic paints or something like that that are built up on here. Maybe I should have asked her before I went. I think I've asked her before in the past, but I think she actually has some tubes of paint. But let's see if we can get, I can't zoom in super close on these, but I don't know if you can get that dimension. I guess I would need some shadows. Maybe, let's see if we can get a little bit of kind of glare on here, just specifically to show that raised type of dimension on these areas right here. But I think, okay, so I'm looking at my screen here. I think you can see a little bit of the, just the changes in textural form that are. Let me just see if I can turn on some other lights in here. Like this in here. Okay, so this area in here, I mean, this is very textural. Okay, now I'm normally not touching, someone's work like this, but I just want to get the gist of where kind of the heaviest buildup is in this piece. And it's like in these two areas right in here. Okay. So what she has is this flatter type of application of these thinner applications of media, whatever it might be. And then when you go down here into this lower area, you have this water that's going to be a reflective surface, and it's reflecting, shimmering kind of lighting that's reflecting that light source coming from above. Now, this is the largest light source of the overall scene, but you have these light sources in here of warm tone light of these, whatever, these warships on fire. Okay, so you have these little bits of reflected oranges and yellows within this given space down here, okay? Now, there's a lot of kind of aqua tones in here as well. So the thing about using whatever these are, acrylic paints or something like that on there, or Dr. Martin's bleed proof white, I'm not quite sure. If you just put that yellow directly over the top of this kind of aqua green color scheme in here, it's kind of the colors of the sky that are reflecting down in this water. If you just go straight over that, like yellow over the top of that with a transparent thin coat, what you would get is a combination of kind of a, oh, I don't know. It would be a kind of a muddled yellow. It would be like orange over the top of this, okay, and you'd get whatever combination that is. Now, there are transition areas with that in there that transition into the more pure areas of orange and yellow, okay, because we kind of need those transition areas because you can't keep things completely separate. Like, you can see some of that yellow right over the top of that green, like right in here, okay, but for the most part, she's isolated those pure touches of highlighted firelight to these areas of built up media on here. And I'm guessing it was white that she's gone over with those warm tones. Or it's hard to say too, because it might be a retention of the white of the paper that's on here, okay? So I think it's probably a combination of both of those because some of these areas I can probably see that there's probably still a little bit of the white of the paper showing through, to some degree, and then some of the areas are more built up. So it's an oscillation and combination of all of that in there, but always very dramatic with the brush work in here using the white paints. And on some of her pieces, I don't know, I don't always say this, but I've said it in the past where it's almost, on some of the pieces, it's almost kind of an equal portion of more like a painting to, a traditional stamp scene where we're just using inks, okay? And it's really dynamic to see because you can really take advantage of those other types of media and what they provide to our more kind of traditional stamping mediums, dye-based inks, alcohol inks, pigment inks, that type of thing. So anyways, really fantastic scene. And I don't know, some of my favorite pieces are her galleon pieces because they remind me of those kind of traditional classic paintings of warships, in battle. You've seen those old oil paintings before, probably. But I don't know, it harkens back to those types of things, really dramatic scenes and moments in time, historic moments in time. 8.5 by 11, full page. Okay, here's another one right here. The thing that I always marvel at Genie is her foregrounds like this down here, okay? You can say this is a kind of a foreground too, but this is kind of your more traditional kind of scenic stamping foreground here. Not in the application, but just in terms of the location of it within a greater whole. But all these different types of textural forms down here. I think that little white there looks like actual brushwork. This is the bare branch, probably stamped in white, but then gone over with the white pen. But look at this layering here in the kind of the second layer of foreground in here. Okay. But just a really cool visual narrative going on in here. We have our sharp areas of really super layered imagery in here. There might be as many layers in the foreground on a lot of Genie's pieces as there are overall. We could see this rock right here is over the top of this one, over the top of this one, over the top of sky, but there's probably an equal number of layers of objects and textures just within the foreground space right here. I'm looking at it right now, and it's hard for me to even say, which sometimes it's very obvious. Like on my pieces, I can say, well, it's also because I did it, but I keep mine much more simplistic and not quite as complex and layered as this right here. But there's probably like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I don't know. I'm guessing there's 7 layers just within this cluster right here of dense foliage like that. Okay, so another thing about Stampscape stamps that I mention quite often is that Stampscape stamps have been designed to be used in their entirety, to be used with their sibling images, to be used in repetition, to be used alone, just for a really simple card. Or they've also been designed to be kind of dissected. So here's this little stream right here. It's hard to see it just in rubber form, but you can see how it looks if it was just inked up in black here. But if I didn't want these rocks up top here, I can just go with this stream down below like this and have this little stream out here. So you can dissect your imagery and use it, an extreme version, would just be to use this little bush right here in a scene, or something like that, or just this background rocks in here, that type of thing. Genie takes this to an extreme. So these ones right here, when I look around in here, it's pretty easy for me to know which stamps have been used. It's been used in conjunction with other stamps too from other companies, which is really cool. But this is something like right here that I just wouldn't think about. But Jeannie does, because I think she sees things and she's just so fluent with all of her different imagery and the different components and textures that are within each one. I don't know if she's thinking about it too much at this point in time, but they are really dissected and used in so many different ways. So in this one right here, for example, this is the tall rock right here, and she's just drawn this kind of oval area in here to create this cave back amongst, inside of this one, this tall rock lodge right here. But this is the beaver lodge right here. So she created this like fire, little clustered, like campfire. I don't know if it's a campfire, if it's this primitive man's home right here. But and then that's probably the bush, I'm guessing, and maybe some other little textural form that's within that space. And then again, colored with those more kind of painted styles of a painted style of application of that fire on there. Okay. And again, this is all really, really textural down here with that paint used. I'm going over in this way. You can see it right here. It's a little bit flatter because there's not so much stuff going on as over here, or as, we're in these undulating, stormy waves right in here. But there's a lot of different textural contrast working in here. We have the lighter kind of applications of probably white pigment ink over these areas to give it that kind of misty feel in here. But we have the crisp areas over here, and also raised of all of those different types of paints and maybe inks used and layered within this given space. So I don't know. I don't know if did I mention, yeah. So one of the things I was saying about Genie's pieces is that they remind me, or the word comes to mind, stamp expressionism within the pieces, with the use of, a lot of kind of gestural marks of that media in there, especially paint, because you can really see that a lot. So, and movement within the pieces. So, anyway. Just some really fun stuff. Thanks so much to Genie for providing these. If you want to see more of her pieces, she posts in the Stampscapes Facebook group. If you're on Facebook group, you want to join the Facebook in general and check it out. I don't know if you haven't been on Facebook before, sometimes it gets a little confusing navigating it. It's such a kind of a, I don't know, layered website. But if you have any questions about it, drop me a note and I'll try to navigate you through it. But the group is Stampscapes 2 Facebook. Stampscapes Facebook group 2. If you just look up Stampscapes in the thing, that there's one Facebook group called that. So anyways, you can see a lot more of her pieces on there, along with a lot of other pieces up there by other stampers, great stampers. Oh, and this was Genie's card right here. So another cool piece that looks like a Ken Brown stamp right there, but a really fantastic composition right here. But all of her pieces really awesome. She's catching fireflies in here. But always fantastic pieces, and really a prime example of scenic stamping is one of those things where you can really inject a lot of kind of your own individual kind of aesthetic personality into your pieces. So as soon as you see a piece by a lot of different stampers out there, scenic stampers, you can tell, oh, that's by someone without even reading the name, and that's definitely the case with Genie. So anyways, Genie, thanks so much for the pieces, the originals. Love them. Enjoy looking at them and, getting a close-up kind of, I don't know, take on what these surfaces not only look like, but how they feel, too, with all those textural forms on there, and the depth of I don't know, it's not just stamping, it's like painted work and just media usage in those pieces and areas. So anyway, thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the next video.